Hello, party people. My name is Marissa Bloedoorn, and I am your host. Welcome to Sweetheart Before I Say I Do, where we're talking about all things pertaining to the love relationship. I have with me my co host, Kevin Long from The Man's Perspective. He is one of our contributing writers for the Own It magazine and an up and coming author. And we're so excited to have him with us tonight. He has not been feeling well, a little under the weather, but now he is back and he is strong. Oh my God, it's been so long. I miss you, bro. I miss you, bro.
Uh,
Glad you're
it's
here.
just,
And it's just you and I tonight. And we're going to continue the conversation that we were talking about last week because now we get the male's perspective on the importance of being playful in the love relationship. And Miss BJ and I really got into it and even got into some areas where, in our own personal experience, about the importance of being playful. Most people see me as very serious, passionate, but I love to be playful. I love to play. I love to laugh. And when I say I love to laugh, I really love to laugh. So, that's a big thing for me. And so, what are some of the characteristics? So, talk about playfulness. How do you feel about that whole additive to the love relationship?
well, I can tell you, and I'll use myself as an example. One of the things that is most important to me, if I had to put it up there, it'd probably be 1A or maybe 1C, is they have to have that type of sentiment to be playful, to be fun. I grew up having a lot of laughter. I mean, with friends, with girlfriends, and things like that. And believe me, what it brings to a relationship is you nothing else can replace it. You can love somebody, but not necessarily enjoy their company. And I've been in those kind of relationships too. But for me, it's very important because understanding that playfulness is what taps into, we all start out as children and then we grow up and then life starts beating us up a little bit, but we never lose who we were as we grew up. And playfulness is a way of taking it back to when life was simple, to when we were simple, when it was uncomplicated. And there were so many uh, things in that realm back then that get complicated as you get older. But when you can take it back with somebody, like for instance, one of my ex girlfriends was very playful. I don't want to call her goofy, but she was a lot of fun. She just used to have that spirit in her where she just enjoyed being playful. She would
Yeah.
tease and just little things that would always kind of, bring out that playfulness in me. And
Mhm.
sometimes that's what it takes. We can't be so serious about a relationship or so serious about life that we lose touch with that person inside of us. You have to have some fun. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not just like going out and, it's fun to go out and do things, but just to be able to be one on one and just fool around with each other. Uh, it's just something that is so important to a relationship because when it comes down to it, all there is me and her, and when we're together and there's nothing else, and maybe you don't have any money and you just don't feel like going out, you can be at home and have a ball. And I've done that before, and I think it's a very important part of the relationship.
Right, right. I think that that's critical too. You mentioned something when you're saying that, talking about finances, right? And so that's why it's so important to be playful and to have fun too, because sometimes we get so caught up in adulthood that we forget that these adulthood is always going to be there. Bills are always going to need to be paid. Life is always going to happen. And when you're too caught up in that, you forget how to enjoy life. You're just trying to make sure that you're just being too responsible. You're not. There's no balance. I want to read from an article, Greater Good, the Berkeley Education. Um, article, and it says, "Is it good?" They asked the question, "Is it good to be playful in a relationship?" It is. It probably comes as no surprise that playful couples are often happy couples. In studies that survey people about their behaviors and feelings, those who are more playful in their relationships tend to experience more positive emotions, be more satisfied with their union, and feel closer to each other. And that's why it's so important, like you said, for a couple that when finances are tight, when there's no money in the house for the extra, it's so important for the couple to be able to say, yo, look, we're gonna do what we gotta do with what we got. And if that means we're gonna hang out here and we're not gonna go anywhere and da 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 da, Debbie Downer ain't gonna work. Donnie Downer ain't gonna work because you already have the stress of having to pay the bill. You know that's there, and all you can do is together say, babe, we're either going to deal with this right now, depending on the level of necessity of attention, or hey, look, we'll get to that tomorrow. What can we do today? Let's watch a movie on Netflix. Netflix is already paid for, right? Let's watch a movie on Netflix. Let's find what we got in the house to eat. And then let's just date night is going to be tonight, is going to be here. The
Oh
couple has
yeah,
to
I
be
mean,
able to do that.
mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Listen, there's been times where I've been broke because of life and being an adult, and you're broke and you don't have any money to spend on the things you'd like to. But one thing about the woman I was with is she would always come. I tell her, hey, look, I ain't got no money. She would come up with creative ways that we could do something. I used to
Hmm.
like to just go walk in the mall and we just go window shopping, but we would have fun doing it. We
Yeah.
would anything, just if it's like in the summer or something like that. We just go out to the park and just walk around, or we even ride bikes at one time. We would just go to the park and ride bikes, and that was fun. That was a time that I really enjoyed because I hadn't done it in such a long time. But
Hmm.
going back to things that you forget about when you get so caught up into the grind of this thing, there's so many things that you used to do as a child and when you were younger that you forget about. And
Hmm.
there's just so many things. Like even one time we were sitting out on her porch where the neighborhood kids were fooling around, and we went out there and started throwing the ball with them. Now that was so much fun. We did that for hours, and I hadn't done that in so long since I was a kid playing football in the street. So I mean, you just have to have that sense of a willingness to realize that life comes down to, and this is something that I learned personally, is that as much as we try to buy happiness or we try to orchestrate happiness, it really comes down to very, very, very simple things, and those simple things are, like they say, the best things in life are free. Man, that's so true. It really, really is, because you can't compensate. Money can buy material things, but it can't make a happy life. You can look at all these stars up there, the people, they're not happy. But
No.
when you can bring it down to just, I'm happy being with this person just walking down the street. I'm happy
Yep.
being with this person just walking in the mall. Just being happy with somebody is what makes that relationship, just like the article you just quoted. It makes people be happier because I'm not stressing over whether or not I'm taking my girl to the best restaurant. I'm not stressing over whether or
Mm.
not she want to go see the show, and I got to get these tickets. And these tickets are like, let me see if you come back.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
right
still,
here.
okay, there.
Yeah,
Can you hear
yeah, there
me?
you go.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
you
having
they
connection
hear you
difficulties.
start moving because you moving. And I think that when you start moving,
Okay,
the internet can't keep up with Johnny.
yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I turned my VPN off, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway,
Yeah,
you're not always
yeah,
stressing to try to enhance a relationship from outside, because the best parts of the relationship come from what's in here. How creative you can
Yes.
be with the person that you're with, you know?
Yeah. And
So,
I think that sometimes we've lost sight. I think along the way we've lost sight of this. And I talk about when I first started, return to being single and got out here and began to date. I had one gentleman, never ever I got a chance to respond to him, but was shocked at what he did. He said, "Well, this is where I'm at in my life, and if somebody is not there, then I can't deal with them." And I was like this is my first conversation with him over the phone, and all I could say to myself, wow, you have no idea who's on the other end of the phone. Like, you don't even know me yet, and yet you have a list of criteria that you want me to meet before, whatever. And a lot of times, because I don't look my age, people don't think I'm closer to retirement, as close to retirement as I am, right?
you don't
So
look
I
you don't.
know that was probably his assumption. But why even exchange numbers to have a conversation? Like, I didn't even understand it. But I'm going to go back to my article because it says, what are some of the ways that you can be playful in the relationship? And I'm going to segue to how you mentioned returning back to the simple. And so that's one of the things that are on the list. It says create a playtime ritual. Sometimes that can be tough because then you're not getting into just naturally flowing. I like a
Right,
natural
right,
flow
right.
of things, and I like to be surprised. I'm very spontaneous. I'm scheduled, but you can mess my schedule up. That's what kind of personality I have. Create a playtime ritual that may be a little challenging for, I know, for me, but I think that it's good to make sure that there is a playtime that does exist. Remember the ordinary and how important the ordinary is. I'm a homebody. I do not like to hit the streets, people. I like to be home. I'd rather be in my kitchen cooking, having something that I feel ain't gonna make my belly feel bloated or anything like that. But I like to cook. I like to sit down and eat. I like a good movie or a good documentary. I like my chocolate chip cookies gooey. I like that. So then another one, and that's the normal. That's that everyday. That makes my world, believe it or not. As much as I go and do that simple life, really, really is rewarding to me. Dance. I love to dance. And you don't necessarily have to go out to dance. You can set the room up. You can put candles around. You can dim the lights. You and your boo can have a funky good time in the living room playing all your old jams, dancing together. And then
Mm,
you can have a playtime ritual in the midst of that, right?
let me
Flirt with
tell
each
you.
other. Yeah, flirt with each other throughout the day, flirt with each other on a regular basis, replicate your first date. That's an idea. So replicate the first date if that's what you want to do. You may not have ever had an official first date, but replicate how you met. Do some playtime. Listen, role play, right? Get out of your comfort zone. Go
Absolutely.
to a park and play. Ride bikes. That's what I'm thinking about. Like, oh wow, it would be lovely to ride. It'll be lovely to ride a bike, enjoy the music. What is your favorite pastime? If you like bowling, join a bowling league,
Yeah,
do some
yeah.
more other things. Sometimes we are so busy trying to be apart. I noticed that couples that do a lot together, they are like thick as thieves. They are, and it's so admirable to, watch them. To say, even though they fuss about each other, forget it. They're having that coffee in the morning together. They're going to this together. They're going to that. You cannot split them up. And so these are some of the ways. These are like 8 ways that you can bring playfulness into your love life. Just like I said, playtime, get back to the ordinary, dance and enjoy music, flirt with each other on a regular, replace sarcasm with flirting, Stop being smart with each other. Replicate your
That's
first
a
date.
relationship killer.
Yeah, it is a relationship because those are your secret jabs at one another. And stop
Exactly.
doing that.
Exactly.
We're not from two different planets. Like I said, we're all from planet Earth. You're not from Mars, you're not from Venus, you're all from the planet Earth, and you can communicate. All you have to do is be open to it. Be open, stop being resentful to each other, and get back
Yep.
to a place of I'm in love with you. And that's where the playfulness can really be effective.
You know, when you were talking about some of the things from the article, it kind of touched me for a minute because I remember one of the best times I had with the woman I used to be with was at Christmas time. Now, I was always like a big Christmas fanatic, and I used to just love to decorate the house and do all of those things. And this was the first year that we were together for Christmas. And she came over and she was helping me decorate the tree and decorate the house and everything. And we had the music playing and we were fooling around and we were acting like we were singing the song and we were dancing together. And she had a microphone and she was singing. It
Hmm.
was one of the best times that I've ever had with a woman. And when you said that, it kind of got me here
Yeah,
because I remembered it well. And it was such a happy moment that in our relationship, one of the things I'll never forget, and I'll never forget it in life, but I think for me, it was kind of the example of what I've always wanted going forward.
yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't work out between us. And I know a lot of that at the time was my fault because there were some things that I was just carrying inside of me, which
Hmm.
also helps to destroy relationships when you carry that baggage. But that was kind of like the precedent of how I wanted to be moving forward. No matter, again, we are getting close to retirement age, but at the same time, it's like I have never lost that sense inside of me because one of the things, like the mistake I made, is you get so into grown up things that you almost like you forget who you used to be, or you leave it behind, or you push it to the back because you're so busy trying to do these other things. Got to make as much money, got to do all these things, and you forget about that. And when that's why I said when you talked about that, it brought me to that moment where it wasn't about any of that.
Mm-mm.
It was about just us having fun. We had the music pumping, and I had a big stereo at that time, and had big speakers. And man, I just pumped that music, and we were decorating the tree and doing the decorations, and it was just so much fun. And I think the problem also is that we don't get enough of that in our lives because we may have it this time, but then we get back to the grind that goes on and on and on. And just like you talked about making playtime, we don't make enough time for that kind of stuff. You come home, you're burned out. Oh, I just want to sit down and watch the dream and drink a beer. I just want to sit down and go to sleep. And we don't make enough time to really rediscover who we are in that realm. And I think that's very important. And that's something that I'm realizing at this point in my life that it's important to have. It doesn't matter how old you are, but it's important to have that. We come from a generation that we're not quite like our parents. Our parents came from, mom and daddy kick butt and get out there and do what you got to do and stuff. But we kind of come from a different generation. And we're not quite like that. So a lot of times we can maintain some of that sense of wanting to remember where we came from, how life was made for us, that we don't lose it. And unfortunately, a lot of times we do. But, when you don't, you can take yourself to a place where you can remember what it was like and go back there. And hopefully you can find somebody who can understand enough to say, hey, I'm in that realm too.
Right. And
Or
so
you touched me a little bit with that because
I,
it brought
I
back.
see you. Listen, let me tell you something. When we first started talking, I saw you all choked up. But listen, the key is this is, as you were speaking, and talked about, coming home being overwhelmed, and, who taught us that? Like, we were taught to be disgusted with our love relationships. We were taught to not like marriage. We were taught that it's a ball and chain. We were taught that because when you fall in love, when the woman and the man are together, when they first meet, they first connect, and they make that deep connection, there is no one else with them. And they are crazy about each other. It is not until they depart for that momentary time to go back to family, friends, work, whatever. And it's during that time that there is an infiltration of, oh my God, this is going to happen. Oh my God, that's going to happen. And what happens is it robs the love relationship. So by the time the couple comes back to meet again, they have all of that external baggage, thoughts, ideas, doubt. All of that has been implanted into the man and the woman, the girl, the boy, whatever. And then when they come back together, the purity of that bond has now been demised, right? So now
Yeah.
they come in and they're suspect, or now they coming in and they like, wait, maybe we need to slow this down, or So think about a man and a woman who got married, they love each other and all this good stuff. Now they got bills, they got everything else. Excuse me, you have those when you're single, right? You have those when you're single and you're by yourself. The beautiful thing about coming together in the love relationship and in marriage, because I believe strongly that when two people are together and they're deciding to stay together, that they should be married. That is my belief. You should be
Yeah.
married. There's so much more benefits to being married. Especially, I always say, at my age, I ain't being somebody's girlfriend. At
Right.
54 years old, sorry, that is not cute. It's not sexy to me at all. It's childish. I need to
Right.
be your wife. I could be your partner for a period of time for us to solidify that this is going to work out between us, but the goal has to be marriage. And so,
Yeah.
and I say that because you're a queen. When I come in and you're dealing with my king, I need to have the authority to speak up on my king's behalf, especially if he can't speak. So I don't want to be girlfriend. I need to be your wife walking in the room. That's more power and authority. So I don't want to be cute. And the reason I say that is because when couples come together, two are better than one, right? The Bible is very
Mhm.
clear. One, he said in the beginning, he said, it's not good for man to be alone because I know how loneliness feels. God knew how loneliness felt. So he created a helpmate, right? That
Yeah.
would help the man. That's why we come up and that's why we here. We here to help you. And so that's why that's so critically important. Not to be a ball and chain, and that
Right. Yeah.
where the lie came in. The lie to rob you of happiness and fulfillment in the love relationship came with that lie that we can't speak the same language, that we are from two different planets. When hello, just look, hello, we are on the same planet, right? That's common sense. Just kill that. So now you want to separate us. You keep us at odds. You keep our homes in a mess, right? But just think about how you say, babe, we're going to go through this together. What you got in your pot? What you got in your pot? Let's put it in together. Okay, this now we got two pots that now become one. We got more than one. We have two together, right? And now we can do what we can, babe. We're going to do what we can do because it's us against them, not us against each other. How's the
Yeah.
body can't stand? So what happens in, and I'm gonna go back to my article. What happens
Mhm.
when you're playing and you're having fun and you remember the enemy is on the outside, not on
Yeah.
the inside with you two. Y'all not
That's right.
fighting against each other. You're not coming home and saying, dang. You come out, babe, you know what they did to me at my job, blah, blah, blah. Why they did that to you? And you're helping each other. You're
Yeah.
talking about your issue and the weightiness of your issue and how it's driving you insane. She's helping you to relieve all of that stress because it has to come out instead of you going up, closing up in a room, and now you drinking, and now you ill, you're sick, you can't even go to the job and all. That's an enemy that's trying to
Yeah.
infiltrate your relationship. And so I want to read this. Um, um, and so having fun together can help couples feel positive emotions, which can increase relationship satisfaction, helps couples to unite in order to overcome differences, and gives them hope when working through difficult challenges. And these difficult challenges shouldn't always be the difficult challenge with them getting along. It should be the difficult challenges with paying off the mortgage. It should be the difficult challenges if one gets a health issue. The difficult challenges should be anything that's external because they should value one another so much. Yo, that's my homie. That's my ride or die. Shouldn't be, oh God, I don't even want to hear what she's gonna have to say, or I don't want to hear what he's gonna have to say. Let me hide this. Shouldn't be any of that. You should be with a partner that is able to work together through challenging times. That challenging times are external because to me it's little. You not being able to listen is little. Get yourself in check. You know how to listen. Shut your mouth. Get your
Yeah.
attitude off your attitude. Listen. What you can't control is life that's happening outside and sometimes life that's happening with your health. That you can't control. But being kind, considerate, loving, passionate to one another, you have full control to make the decision to give way to that. You
Oh
have,
yeah. I mean, if a couple, for instance, is having a problem in the bedroom, they need look no further than that article to understand what may be the root cause of why things are not coming together. You may be sleeping with her, but maybe you're not happy, or vice versa. Maybe she's not happy. She's like she'll sleep with you because it's pleasurable, but at the same time, there's not that inner satisfaction. But let me tell you, two people who fit the bill of that argument, I mean that article, they know the
oh yeah,
joy that comes with being together because those very and again, they're very simple principles. They're very simple things that are not and one of the things I like what you said when you talked about flowing naturally. When two people allow those things to flow naturally, believe me, you can find a lot of pleasure in being together and coming
let
together.
me tell you something.
Yeah,
I know for me, I don't keep an attitude. Like I don't keep an attitude, but I am the better lover when I know that I'm supported, when I know that we can have open conversation. When I know you got my back. When I don't, we don't have to have money in the bank because money can be made. We don't have to have money. I need to know that we are on the same page,
right.
that we are speaking the same language. I can't have me over here and I'm saying one thing, you over there saying the total polar opposite. No, I that's all I need is that commitment and that we are on the same page and that we are going to do this thing together. The money can come. You can always figure out how to make money. That it will come, that will, and challenges are going to come and they're going to go. And my biggest thing is, tomorrow is not promised. And one thing that is a pet peeve for me is I wish I woulda, shoulda, coulda, but I didn't. You had the chance. Get up. You know how they say, give someone flowers while they are alive and can smell them and can bask in the beauty of them. Don't tell me that later. There's too many people that come back and say, yo, I didn't realize what I had and da da da. No, dude, you realized it. You just punked yourself. You just played
Mhm.
yourself out, and now you want to come back, and now then the heart is closed. Then the heart is
Yeah,
closed. The heart moves on. And I like there was I forget where I saw it, but it says, "Can you fall in love again?" And yeah, you can fall in love again. All
yeah,
you need to do is find somebody that you really connect to, to,
Yeah.
again, that opportunity is gone. So move on with your life. And it's so sad to see that, people allow pride, being stubborn. It's not cute. Being stubborn, somebody is sitting on the other side of your stubbornness, loving you, but they suffered. And so they spent a whole life with you being you, and they done sat here, loved you through it, but never really got to enjoy the love you could have actually gave them, but you just trying to be a pain in the behind.
Hey, that's right. People have to understand how we have to get away from these pseudo social mores and get back to spiritual and human mores. And that's the problem. We set all of these false expectations about what it is supposed to be. It's supposed to. And again, going back to what you said about the natural flow of it. And really, it should be just how, like the saying is that, uh, water will find its path. It seeks the path of the least resistance. Uh,
Mhm.
and it's the same thing with allowing just who you are to kind of be natural, not setting up all of these things that I got to make this amount of money. I got to have this kind of house. I have to have this kind of look, or I have to have this kind of dress. I mean, all of those things are phony, and it creates this image that we have to be something other than ourselves in order to fit into the mold of what society is. And that's what kills so many of these relationships and stops them from being natural and true from the very beginning. A lot of times this is what happens when people, and this is one of the things I don't like about a lot of times in relationship. He changed, she changed. Nobody changes. What happens is you put on this phony fake thing in the beginning, you think it's natural, but then you start slipping right back into who you really are. So, you know, it's like, no, people don't change like that. The hardest thing, look, Jesus wants the people to change, and he's having a hard time doing it. So,
Right. So why
don't
would
say that, don't say that people change, because they really don't. They just slip back into their natural self after you see what the best foot they put forward.
right, right,
You know
right.
what
It
I'm
just
saying?
it just depends on how long they can fake it.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it goes a long time, and then all of a sudden it comes back. But that's the truth. I mean, we have to get away from the phony. One thing I say is that we have to just keep our focus on what it is just to be human. What it is, meaning forget about how you look, your color, your race, your culture. Just put that aside and just think about, what am I without those things? And that's where you find your true self. When you put race aside, when you put culture aside, who am I now? And that's a question that people need to ask themselves. And it's a question that I've asked myself. And I realized how much of the foolishness that I personally was buying into.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
by coming to that actualization that, what, who are you without all of that?
Who are you
And that's
without
where you find
that?
your true self. Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. I want to read off, and we're going to close out. I wanted to read off three of the most important things for that support a loving relationship and influence its ability to be sustainable throughout the years. All healthy relationships share the following three core components: mutual respect, mutual trust, and mutual affection. And so it has to be where, and that's what I said. It has to be that respect, that you have to understand that this person is their own person. You cannot control them and make them be what you want them to be. You have to be able to embrace all of who they are and be comfortable with that and allow them the space to be authentically themselves. Then the trust is, they have to know that you can trust them. And that's what I said about commitment. Do you have my back? Trust is not just, I trust you'll be faithful to me. Trust is also that I can depend and rely on you. That if I fall backwards, I don't have to look to see if you're going to catch me. I know that you're going to catch me. mutual affection has to be equally yoked. So I have to
Yes.
know the level of affection that you're comfortable with in giving and receiving is the same level of mutual affection that I am willing to receive and reciprocate. So that's
Mhm.
important too. And affection has to do with the love making, the touching, the feeling. All of that is a part of the affection, and you have to have the same appetite, so to speak. And that's what's really important too, because otherwise it becomes neglectful. People don't talk about in the Bible. It says you're not to cease from intimacy unless you're fasting and praying. And couples have a tendency to use that against them. I think in another show I shared how some couples will some some partners in the couple within the couple will hold back as a punishment. You ain't getting none. You want to do that to me, but actually what you're doing is you're setting your partner up to go and get it elsewhere because it says don't do that lest the partner be tempted, right? Because sex is it's a part of the process of being. Like you have to have intercourse. It's also a part of how our body stays healthy too. We have to do that. And so that this is so important for us to realize mutual respect, mutual trust, and mutual affection is critical. And that all comes from and is cultivated and it's naturally secured in all of that playfulness and in being friends. The playfulness is a part of,
Yeah.
that's my friend. I really care about you. And are you okay? Not you are my
Right.
husband. This is what I need from you. No, it's hey babe, you okay? That feel good to you? How does that feel? Are you okay? Checking in on you. And so we're up. So your closing remarks for tonight, Kevin.
Yeah. Look, you have to have it. It's like the Bible said, uh, I can't remember who it was that asked it, but in the Bible it said that Jesus said, "Except ye come as these little children, you will not see the king or not enter into the kingdom of heaven."
Mhm.
Now, he himself is talking about a nature that we have to adopt in order to be like those in heaven. He said the greatest in heaven are those are such as these children, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but
Well, he's talking about maintaining the childlike faith. So he in that scripture he's saying, listen, lest you become like little children, unless you believe unconditionally, not having to know. Children believe
exactly,
like they don't get caught up in who's looking, who's not looking. They don't care about what they look like. Kids are just being kids. And God is
exactly,
telling us to return to that. Like you have to have your adult behavior. You have to meet your adult
yeah,
responsibilities. But he's like, never lose
exactly,
the child within you.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. Because again, it comes down to the simplicity of why children are the way they are. That's why children fighting 2 minutes later, they friends again, because they don't carry that kind of complication where we begin to stew on things. And that's the simplicity that we need back in ourselves as adults. So all right to, be grown, but don't lose that simplicity that allows you to become more complicated than is necessary. And
No,
playfulness
because
is
you
a part
miss
of
out on all the fun. You're missing out on
that's
the
right.
fun. This was meant, God said, He said, I've come that you would have life and life more abundantly.
Yeah,
Abundantly just did not mean about prosperity and money,
right.
people. It meant abundantly where you feel fulfilled, that you're enjoying this life. Even in it, He says, in this life you will have big tribulations. But He said, be
Yeah,
of good cheer, for I've overcome the world. Even the world have I overcome. And I believe that in our love relationships, we're missing it in a major way, that we're missing what God meant about the man and the woman coming together and really, really enjoying the fullness of the differences, the
right.
differences that come between genders. And so that's my heart. My heartbeat in closing is come on, people, let's have fun. Like loosen up. You're on a cruise.
That's right.
You are on a cruise, honey. You're meant to this was meant for you to love, fall in love, have fun. And listen, sweetheart, before I do say I do, is really a time for you to, if you're looking at a partner, if you're considering someone to come into your life and share your life forever. Sweetheart, before I say I do, the premise of the book is really just do an assessment. Watch from afar your partner, how they interact with other people. Are they fun? Do they make you laugh? You need to watch that. You need to watch your partner with their family members. You need to watch your partner and how they handle challenging situations, challenging conversations. And you need to be your partner's friend. Make sure that you create an environment by which that person can be totally comfortable with being their true, authentic selves with you. That's what sweetheart is, before I say I do, is all about, is really self love. Self love is the best love, and it will show you how to love others. We are out, people. It's Friday. Have a funky good time. Go out there, date. Go out there and party like you like Hardy, whatever. We love you. Next weekend. Be safe out there in the world. We'll see you next week, this same time.
All right.